trying to think of which staff member you're talking about.
Maybe you need to watch the film again.
It's the man at the last minute who says that they're going to pay, that if the local people understood well how much they earned and not had to live 50 years to earn an amount of money, they would be sensible to move. That's the
I can give you, he was talking in Bahasa, not in English.
English.
No, but it was a voice, that was a voiceover.
Was it a voiceover?
And we have translated the Bahasa, and I can tell you exactly what he said, and that's not what he said.
Why didn't you go to court with that? If you are so sure.
I haven't.
It's bullshit what you tell.
But I haven't
we
been.
asked 2 translators before we broadcasted it.
I haven't been to court. This is WW Germany.
Yeah. No. Okay. Wilfried asked it to react before, so
and the judge read it too. It makes no sense to discuss about details of the film, as I said, even though it makes me angry that I wrote a book after it, because I know in 50 minutes of film it's not possible to explain all the backgrounds and the history of WWF. But it made me angry that without a trial, without the judgment of the trial before, the WWF organized all its power to exercise pressure against the book distributors, that no one dared to distribute this book on the German market during 2 weeks. It's only available in the publisher's internet shop, and that's unique for the German history of books, at least after 45, excuse me. So they misuse their power and their connections with very rich, with very powerful even politicians, like this stupid German minister for development, Niebel, who powers millions and millions into WWFs for stupid programs. And that's a power game you play. Fundamentally, it's a political question. You say, okay, it's 70% is already genetically transformed soy. Yes, maybe. And in the 70s, the nuclear power industry won the battle. They built one after another. But the movement, at least in Germany, as far as I remember, never had the idea to collaborate with them, to go to dialogue with them, or to go into bed with them, or to get money from them for advice for more sustainable power plants, nuclear power plants. They maintained the resistance, they maintained their independence, and only therefore the battle against the nuclear power industry in Germany was successful at the end. That's the only reason. And I think natural protection movements cannot say we are political neutral, as WWF always says and conflicts about land. That is not possible. You have to decide, and that's a problem for me.
A lot of this is rubbish.
Okay.
WWF International does not have anything going with the nuclear industry. We do not receive any.
I'm sorry. What I propose is there are some people who ask to intervene, so I would propose to do a last round with speakers. I want to ask you to keep it very briefly, and so afterwards maybe there can be a last word for both of the speakers.
Hello, my name is Klaus from Rainforest Rescue in Germany. Just to add, there's not only harsh criticism from the south, also from the northern NGOs. Last year, the German Umbrella Association of the Environmental Groups wrote to WWF, and they say that the WWF fails in the back, or hits in the back of the environmental groups in Germany with Gene Soy and with the Roundtable for Responsible Soy, and also with other labels like the Better Cotton Initiative. And the other thing I want to say or to add is that you always talk about the better future, but we have labels like this, for example, the FSC already for 20 years now. And what happened is that not the standards improved year by year, the contrary happened. They were washed out totally. So we have no Also the FSC label, which in the fact is nothing worse, because there was a different history with FSC. It started with a lot of support from environmental groups 20 years ago, but then it was washed out, and now all the environmental NGOs are stepping out of FSC more and more.
Okay. Then this person,
Anyway, I'm Martin. I'm working with a Corporate Europe Observatory as well, and so as an organization, we study the political influence of corporations, and particularly in Brussels. You define your organization as more on the pragmatic side in the whole spectrum of environmental organizations, the other side being presumably the idealistic ones. From what we observe in the general battle, if you take not only the discussion about the WWF, but the state of environmental protection today, we have a very good experience now with what is happening in Rio. Then you really see that the real battle that matters is the battles between hard law and the battle between soft law, the battles between the states, the ability of states to regulate corporations for good, or the claims of big business that it can actually self-regulate itself via soft law, via partnerships, via voluntary standards. WWF very clearly for the moment is facilitating business strategies by allowing this kind of partnerships or collaborations, call it the way you want, to happen. So who's the idealistic and who's the realistic here? What's the best strategy? I really think, and I'm not contesting the relevance of the WWF analysis of the situation necessarily, but I think even if I believe in your good faith, you're making a terrible mistake here.
So I would like to end up, no, you already had, so maybe the last speaker then.
Hello, I'm Linda Koenen from ACED Europe, a campaigning organization in Amsterdam. You referred to the existence of GM soy as a horse that is already out of the stable and that you now have to try to do some damage control. But what was WWF doing when the horse was let out of the stable, when in the economic crisis in Argentina 12 years ago, the US government paved the way for Monsanto to take over Argentinian agriculture? And what are you doing now to prevent that from happening with the GM crops that are in the pipeline for approval in Europe?
Yeah, okay, so this is your last chance to respond.
Just very quickly, and all of these issues are complicated, and you're more than welcome to approach me later. Like, you're quite right in terms of the world isn't going to be solved, the problems of the world aren't going to be solved by a partnership between corporations and anyone, and corporations themselves don't have all of the answers. But they're part of the picture, and we can't ignore them. Like, I fully agree with you that our regulatory frameworks are severely flawed, particularly in some of the places where they most need to be strengthened. And although Europe performs better than many other places in the world, there's still, you know, a gap between the standards that are set and the standards that should be set. So I don't think we're that far. I don't think we're that far apart. We've just got different ways of working on issues. You know, WWF is also highly active with governments and with in the international fora to try and sort of raise the base level as well.
Yeah, sorry, my point was you would be more effective openly criticizing business than working with it.
Look, it's a good point. We are one of the few groups that is able to work with business, and there is a feeling in the organisation. It's not always. You know, it's a bit too nervous for my liking sometimes, but there's a feeling that, okay, if you are active critics of business, then you won't be able to work with them. In fact, our relationships with business go the whole gamut from, you know, being highly critical and having them slam us. You probably don't appreciate just how much business attacks us as well, to, you know, sort of trying to work with them but quietly. What was the other issue I had to follow? But I don't know. But Yeah, but you can look. I'm around all day. You can tackle me. I don't have answers to all of these questions because they're highly complicated. They're not things where there are simple right answers. But I think we are in this game together, and we should work together. And we do value what you have to say, and we do consider it. And we do have safeguards in place for, there is a clear risk of greenwashing, and we recognise that, and we do have protocols that try and avoid us getting into that situation. Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Okay. So Wilfried's last reaction.
Very brief. I think I opened with the film, at least in Germany, and the book, Box of Pandora. And that's necessary because many of these strategical problems were hidden, and they are problems of others too. Maybe not in the same way than WWF. And if you take that really serious, what you said, you have the choice. You can leave roundtables which only serve to sustain the sustainability lie, and they are dangerous and they are not good for nature and for humans. And leave responsible soy, and leave so-called sustainable palm oil. That would be a beginning for your rehabilitation as natural protection organization.
Okay. So this is the end of the session. I would like to thank Phil and Wilfried and all of you for this civilized debate.